Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Poppin' This D. About to react to this vid by Hello Yassine. This is the rapper who signed a $3 million deal, then robbed a bank. What? This looks like Lupe Fiasco in the thumbnail. I hope it's not him. I don't know what's going on, but whoever this is, they said that ain't enough. I need something more. Let's see what happens though. Let's watch.
The man who was known as the Chief of Chicago, who ruled the streets for some times, gained in popularity, signed a multi-million-dollar deal, but greed couldn't be stopped, and he decided to commit a bank robbery.
Sir.
The South Side of Chicago is home to many famous names within hip-hop, Lil Durk being one of the most famous ones in recent time who also looked up to this individual. But today we're going to focus on one that stands out the most. He was known as the Chief of Chicago, but also known as Bumpy Johnson or Bump J. It's true that Bump J had a crazy amount of respect not only from his people in Chicago and the Goon Squad, but in music. It seems like every day at least 30 people come up to me and just start rapping. Through the years, more than once, the streets have shown him admiration and love, which he got through releasing plenty of mixtapes and for his activity on those streets. 50 made it clear that you could create a buzz and be successful from the mixtape scene. It's like building a house. You put that first brick down, and after that you just start building, and it gets larger and larger. When he was 14, Bump J moved out of his mom's house and started to care for himself because they were living.
Was that Keisha Cole?
14, Bump J moved out of his mom's house.
Yeah, that's Keisha Cole. Right? I'm not trying to be shady. I think that is Keisha Cole.
Because they were living in too much poverty.
That's Keisha Cole.
My mom couldn't really pay her own bills, so I left so I could be on my own. He didn't get far and rented a place just around the corner from his home, and he started to push weight on the block so that he would have some income. I always seemed more advanced than the people around me, so private school was a good idea. It was either go to the public school and not get anything done, or go to private school and learn something and be productive. Bump J spent a lot of his free time on the streets and got involved in gang activity. He became a member of Four Corner Hustlers, which provided him with a sense of family and some sort of stability. When I joined, they told me they weren't a gang. They were an organization that was all about business and making money. Even though it was one of the smallest groups around, they seemed to resemble who I was. Chicago is very segregated, but at the same time, gangs here seem more organized and real strict on laws. Chicagoans are very slick and fast talkers. No matter where you go, you get respect if you're from Chicago. You can even look at Bishop Magic Don Juan and the life he led. Right now, he's in LA, a superstar. It was November 18, 2001, when one event gave a push for Bump J to start his rapping career. It was the day that his brother got murdered. It was gang-related. His brother had always encouraged Bump to try and become a rapper, to get some studio time and record his tracks, as Bump knew how to rhyme, and it came natural to him. So from that day, Bump decided that he couldn't waste any more time and started rapping.
He even looks so much like the guy I dated in high school.
Bump got hooked on the Goon Squad,
which
consisted of Bump J, Sly Polaroid, Brian Hustler, Chinaman, and G-Man. But soon enough, they lost G-Man to an unfortunate incident with the police. Members of the Goon Squad were connected, very close, which resulted in a lot of music and punchlines in their tracks. Among 7 mixtapes that they released, the most popular and favored was Welcome to Grimeyville, Dinner Time, and Chicago-Rilla. Hip-hop is more structured today than when it began years ago. There used to be a time when you could just rap and write how you felt and have feel-good music. Today you have to make a club song, a For Your Ride song, and a song for the females. But since there's a lot more money involved now, hip-hop has become more of a business. In 2003, Extreme Beats, who was a producer from Chicago, discovered Bump J. Later on, through that individual, Phil Edwards, who was the head of Free For All Records, was looking forward to getting Bump J to the next level. He remembered that the first time I met him, he had a show in the park. Children, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, everyone was out there. If you walked through the neighborhoods, they knew him. He was already a star on the streets. Bump and his Goon Squad were signed to Free For All, the production company, and instantly began more regular appearances on various mixtapes. Pretty soon, stations such as WGCI, WPWX, and B96 in Chicago started supporting Bump J and his music. Not only was he invited to be a participant in a few mixtapes from his region, but he was also welcomed by DJ Hoop Kid from New York. Later on, some labels were trying to win Bump over. He got some serious thinking and decided to stay with Atlantic Records. He was signed to a record deal for $1 million and a publishing deal for $2 million.
I signed a deal for less than for more than $1 million, and then I went and got a publishing deal for $2 million. I heard him.
Bump J was working with Kanye West, and track boys on the material for his album Nothing to Lose. Kanye was also a producer of the song Move Around, and that it was featured on Madden NFL 2006. And McDonald's acquired a license for it to be put on a television ad and shown around the whole summer of 2005. Despite releasing a hit song, there was still some beef going on between Free For All and Atlantic Records. Specifically, Free Maiden was not particularly happy with what Bump J was doing and the direction that everything was moving.
Wow.
So Bump J got out from under the label in 2006, which resulted in decreasing the amount of cash that he got while he was on the label.
Yes, let's get to the shits.
Bump J was always surrounded by a lot of acquaintances and friends with whom he used to hang out on the streets. And despite his popularity rising and getting serious money so that he could afford to have a few cars, he was still greedy and always wanted more. So he noticed that one guy from his circle was coming with his pockets full of cash, several cases in a row. Bump was curious how it was possible, and that friend told Bump that he was repeatedly robbing a bank that didn't have security. Curiosity got the best of him, and he decided to try doing that as well. He got together with one of his friends, and they entered the bank in the Chase branch in Oak Park on the 4th of January 2007. The surveillance camera caught two men, one of which supposedly was Bump, who were waving handguns and announcing that a robbery was in place. Then they forced bank employees to give them cash from the teller drawers and a vault as well, leaving the bank with $108,135.
And you had a
All the people from the bank were safe and sound, and Bump's cut from the robbery was about $54,000. So the robbery was a successful one. The next months after the robbery, Bump J behaved very cautiously, so that under any circumstances, he wouldn't have to have a face-to-face interaction with the police. In a year and a half's time, the same acquaintance with whom Bump J robbed a bank was said to be talking to the police and pointed them out in the direction of Bump J. So in the fall of 2008, Bump was driving a car and he had a firearm on himself. Police officers stopped him on the matter of a traffic violation and took him into the custody of Carbondale Police Department. It was said that not only were the police looking for him, but the FBI as well, and they preferred to keep looking for him without publicly naming him as a person of interest. Bump J was charged with one count of violating federal firearm statutes and one count of bank robbery. With those charges in place, Bump was looking at 20 years in prison. But in August 2009, he took a plea deal that, as a result, that got him a minimum of 7 years in a federal correction institute. On September 29th, despite signing off the plea deal, Bump J was sentenced to serve 10 years in federal prison for armed bank robbery and a weapons charge. While in prison, Bump J tried to fill his days full of various chores so that time would fly by very quickly. He was writing some lyrics just to continue keeping his pen sharp, and he knew for sure what he wanted to achieve when he got out. Bump J was released from prison in April 2017, and he got straight to work. He was in the studio with Pusha T and Yo Gotti, and teased they had been working on the new single, F Up the Summer. At the same time, Bump J was working with Jeremiah, Rocky Fresh, and Cardo in studio sessions with whom he recorded 4 songs, but there were no indications that an album was going to come out. There were many acquaintances and people who knew Bump. They were saying that it was great to see him working and integrating into hip-hop from the moment that he got out of prison. In June of 2017, Bump J released a new video for the song Good to Be Home. That was the first time that fans got to see him doing some rapping after being gone for so long. The video was directed by Chicago videographer Aze Production, and it's just a basic rap video. Bump J in a Rolls wearing Just Don's Air Jordan 2s, and a lot of cityscapes and landscapes in this Chicago city. Then in August of 2017, Bump J dropped another video for his song I Want It All. The producer of the video was Chase Davis, and in the video, we could see Bump J and a lot of his homies having a good time in the club and celebrating life. The inspiration came from my guys. This video was shot mostly at my jeweler's birthday party, the Wholesale Jewelry King. I wanted the feel to be real, so I didn't tell anyone I was doing it. We just started shooting. J Visuals directed it, got my concept, and brought it to life. At the moment of his release, in April of that year, Bump J stated that he recorded over 60 songs. Right now, I'm stacking songs. I'm still on house arrest till September 21st. Then I'm able to move around. When I'm able to travel, I'm going to flood the streets. Mark my words. In a year, June 2018, Bump J finally released his first album, I Don't Feel Rehabilitated, which was a 9-track LP and a collection of street stories of Chicago and classic Chicago street rap. The tracks from the album were produced by a bunch of different people, from Cardo, Money Motivated Music, and several other producers. And it captured a nature of Bump that had a little bit more pain to him than when he was recording years ago, as he had just served a lot of time. The incarceration didn't turn me into a different person. I was gone almost 10 years, so naturally I'm getting older, and maturity comes with age. But I'm still Bump, just more calculated. At the beginning of fall 2018, there were some hints that Kanye West was working with Bump J and Sly Polaroid on a 7-song EP, but it wasn't clear whether this EP was going to be released, and it still hasn't been since then. I think it won't be much different than when I was out. I've gotten better musically because I'm just a better man mentally. So I think hip-hop will love me just the same, if not more. People respect struggle and stand-up. I took my lick and never told, so I'll always be respected as a man, and that's what's important. Music has always been the easy part to me. It's unfortunate that a story of someone who was signed for $3 million, already had money prior to getting signed, would still have the feel and the urge to commit a bank robbery that could derail the momentum that he had built up over that time. And derail the momentum it did, because since he's been free, nobody's really talked about him from the generation of people that had no idea who he was when he first got locked up. The people that did know about him were people from Chicago who were young and had heard about him, or older people who knew what he was getting into prior to him being locked up. But when you do 10 years, coming out and still being successful is something very unlikely. Yeah. Bobby Shmurda was much, much, much bigger than Bump J in terms of having a massive hit song, and he hadn't been able to capitalize on his release, and he did less time than Bump. But you can tell he was definitely committed to the lifestyle.
Shame, shame, shame. Yeah, he probably could have been this huge artist. He was working with a lot of really big names, and he threw it away for $50,000, and you had a $3 million contract? Like, where is the logic, sir? I don't understand, but, you know, sure, I wish him all the luck, but it ain't looking too good, because he's been out since 2018, or 2017, and I ain't never heard this man in my life. But maybe he's a legend in Chicago, and he'll continue to grow, who knows, but I doubt it. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all thought, though. Let me know what other videos you've been watching. I'll see y'all in the next time. Bye!